It is the Fantasy Life Show here on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Adam Ronis along with Gene Clemons here on a Monday morning. We'll take you up until noon Eastern. You could check out all our work, fantasylife.com. We got rankings, utilization reports, ADP comparisons, and if you have a few minutes to kill, you could just check out our draft champion and set your league parameters where you want to pick and get a draft done in a few minutes. We have samples of that. Month of the Mock. I did one over the weekend. It's up on the site. You could check it out. And if you want a discount on any package, just enter the code SXM20 to get 20% off. Take advantage of it. Anytime you can get money off, you want to do that. And joining me today, Gene Clemons. It's been a minute. It's been a while. You know, we've been having shows on and off throughout the off season, but haven't spoke to you in about, I guess, a month or so. So what's going on, Gene?
Yeah, man, it's good to be back. Gearing up for Sunday mornings. Make sure everybody's ready for that good, 7 a.m. and get them ready for, for the NFL and everything that's coming on with that. But it's good to be back, man. Just I'm excited about having real football to talk about. Like the fact that we're back into training camps. We can see people moving around. We can see people doing new things. We're hearing narratives come out that don't match the videos that are coming out, which I think is hilarious. And all of it, you have to try to whittle through and figure out how that's going to play for us in fantasy. And that's the fun part of this time of year.
Yeah, I think that's really important what you say, because you have to be very careful with the news you see nowadays, because people just see a headline and run away with it. And a lot of times it's not true at all. And as you said, the video doesn't match to what they're saying. So you have to be really careful and examine things under a microscope, because it could create a bad decision for you. And we're seeing it a lot this year, especially. I've seen it a lot already.
Yeah, I'll start positive, because why not start positive? All of the reports that we've heard out of Baltimore about what's going on there is that defense is going to be absolutely bananas, right? So you should be thinking about that when you put your lineups together. Like how many people have to face Baltimore on my roster, because it's going to make a difference in how you play them, or if you play them at all, because Baltimore's so good. That defense, the second half of the year, what they were able to do after the first half being atrocious, and then carrying that over and adding really quality pieces in the offseason, that defense is going to be really good. So you'll hear a lot of people go, oh, well, Baltimore last year, they were ranked this, but that's taking into account the entire season. That's not taking into account how they improved over the season. And it doesn't take into account what they're going to do in 2025. So I look at some of those things, just one example of something where people might say one thing and there's something else that's brewing.
Yeah, there's just comical things that come across the timeline. I think something yesterday that was populating it was fade Malik Neighbors. I was like,
Yeah,
okay.
ridiculous.
I mean, it's like, come on, man. So, yeah, just be careful. And that's why, you go to fantasylife.com, you listen to Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio, because you have people who are on top of it giving you the real deal. So, we got a lot to get to. We'll go over the latest NFL news, ADP battles, 2 players ranked closely, who we like better, draft or pass. We'll take a look at my Flex League draft from the weekend and some must-draft players from Gene. So a lot to get to throughout the show. We'll also get to your calls as well, 888-963-2682. But let's kick it off here with some news on James Cook. So we know that he wants a new contract. He's been in camp, but Sunday he did not practice. And every question that was asked of him, he asked why he wasn't practicing. He said business. He is also not in uniform today. So we know he wants that contract, but he is at camp. How have you gone about drafting James Cook this year? Is he a guy that you're willing to take? Now, his ADP, looking at our ADP tool here on fantasylife.com, generally the 3rd round. Now, it varies across site. We've talked about it a lot. Underdog, best ball, receivers get pushed up. He's 44.3 there. That's not going to happen in your home league. But the other sites, he's 35 on ESPN, 34 on Sleeper, 31 on Yahoo, 26 on CBS, 30 on RT Sports. So you're generally talking 3rd round. Has this situation yesterday and today changed your opinion? And generally, where are you drafting James Cook? Are you open to, or are you passing it?
I don't know if I'm willing to take him at that price right now. It's just so many really good players out there that I can grab that I don't have to worry about what their situation is. A couple things to remember, and this is kind of off of the quantitative data and more on the qualitative data. When running backs hold out, they almost always get injured. If not for like, if not for just like a few weeks, for a longer period of time. I don't know what it is about a running back not going through training camp the way that they would normally go through training camp, but it feels as if every time a running back holds out, there's some type of injury that we have to work through. Either it's like their body's just not ready for the rigor, they didn't do the proper, work during the offseason because they were holding out, whatever it is. I also think there's a part of that that scares me because anytime there's a contract dispute, the team, if they weren't willing to pay that player, they tend to move like they don't want you to look as good as you looked in the previous season. I remember when Saquon Barkley was on the, was on the franchise tag. The way they used him, actually, the last two seasons that they used him in New York, he wasn't getting as many targets out of the backfield. He wasn't as much in the passing game as we'd seen in the past. A lot of his runs were just kind of your basic, like ho hum between the tackle runs. Nothing fancy, nothing explosive, nothing that's kind of like a romantic design that gets him in space quick. And I feel like subconsciously it's the team's way of going, hey, you're not worth the money that you want, and we're going to show people you're not worth the money that you want. And again, this is data that's more qualitative than it is quantitative, but I tend to be more of a qualitative guy. You've got a lot of guys at Fantasy Life that are quantitative. You can get all the data you want at Fantasy Life, tier 1, tier 2. Make sure you use that promo code XXM20. But like, you can get all of that data, but sometimes you need someone to be able to look at it from a perspective of what's going on between the lines or inside of the rooms. And I think that's where I look at it. And that's what scares me the most about Cook.
And the way they did use him last year, it was basically saying, yeah, we can't pay him. Now, people will say, what are you talking about? He had 16 touchdowns. He only played 47.5% of the offensive snaps in the games he was active. He didn't play on a lot of third down. They used a lot of Ray Davis and especially Ty Johnson late in the year. And that's my biggest issue with Cook. I love him. I think he's a tremendous player. I wish he got the ball more because I've been saying this all offseason. If you ask most people, hey, how many carries did James Cook get last year? Everyone would get it wrong. They'd be like, oh, 250? He had 207. Yep. So he was really efficient last year. He had 4 rushing touchdowns in his first 2 seasons. He had 16 last year. So that's the biggest issue that I have with Cook is the price. At the 3rd round, I can't draft him there. And again, I said last year, if he gets the touchdowns, he'll have a breakout season, and he did. So that's the biggest concern for me. And it doesn't feel like they want to pay Cook. And I'm always for the players getting their money. He's coming off a great year. He knows, hey, this is the time to cash in because it could be like what you said, where they scale it back a little bit more this year. So that's the thing to watch for with Cook. But generally going in the 3rd round now, people haven't really pushed him down the board yet. His teammate Khalil Shakir is going to be out weeks with a high ankle sprain. I liked Shakir a lot last year. I was a little disappointed. I mean, a lot of it comes down to the lack of touchdowns and the way this offense operates where they spread the ball around. Is this changing the way you're looking at Shakir? Was he someone you were drafting, considering, or does this push him down a little bit with this injury where maybe he misses the beginning of the season?
Yeah, I think if I'm thinking about it going into the season, it definitely changes my thought process on Shakir, right? Like if it's going into the season, because that means it's serious enough to where when he comes back, how healthy is he for real? This isn't somebody who is just like blowing the top off of a defenses or just using his physicality to manhandle people. He really needs to be able to work within the margins if he wants to have success. So if he's dealing with any type of lingering effects from this injury, it's going to affect him in the game, and it's definitely going to affect the way that he's able to produce for fantasy managers. It makes me wonder, though, like if he's dealing with all of that stuff, is Keon Coleman in line for a much larger target share? Is he in line to kind of take up the mantle, or are they going to do what they've been doing and just kind of find it on a week by week basis? From all the reports, Keon Coleman's had a good offseason. right? But we need to see that. We need to see that translate onto the football field. That's why I miss teams playing starters in the preseason, because you kind of got a chance to get a sneak peek of what they're capable of come regular season in the preseason. And so I'd love to see these guys play in the preseason. I just don't think it'll happen. I'm a little bit cold on Shakir. Might be warming up to Keon Coleman though.
Yeah, I think all of them are a risk just due to them spreading the ball around. But when it comes to Keon Coleman, you're talking about his ADP being around wide receiver 50. So you're really not paying much. That's essentially a bench guy. And if he does break out, you have him on the roster. The other one, I guess, would be Dalton Kincaid. We know he was dealing with the knee issue last year. Obviously, a lot of people are just moving past him because they felt like they got burned. He was going in the 5th round of some drafts last year. So that's the biggest issue. You would look at this Bills offense and how explosive it is, and it's insane to see that we're not even drafting a lot of these guys in the top 50. I mean, James Cook is the only guy outside of Josh Allen. I mean, these skill position players, they just spread out the ball so much.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Shakir was a guy who ended up being a really valuable a fantasy play last year. But going into the season, nobody was thinking about Shakir being a valuable fantasy play. And even into the season when they traded for oh gosh, he just jumped out of my his name just jumped out of my head. Amari Cooper, excuse me. When they traded for Amari Cooper, people thought Amari Cooper, myself included, would jump right in and within a week or two be the wide receiver one. And it didn't happen. That ball just continued to kind of rotate around different receivers, with Shakir kind of being the constant in that case. I'm just wondering who's going to be the constant this year, especially if Shakir is hurt.
Yeah, and again, Shakir might be ready week 1, week 2. It doesn't sound like he's going to miss much time, but if he is off the field for a little period, it could open things up for some other players there. Matthew Stafford has been dealing with this back issue. Usually late July, early August, you're like, okay, we still have a month to go to the season. But he's seen a back specialist now a couple of times. They said he's going to just do some individual workouts today. He's not going to participate in the joint practices this week. Is there concern for Matthew Stafford, and more so Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams? Is this still early? Are you saying, hey, I'm not going to downgrade these guys yet? Or is the level of concern there for you right now where you go, late first round, Puka Nacua is there. There's a lot of talented receivers. With Stafford's question marks, maybe I'll pass right now.
Yeah, I think what we have to remember is that Matthew Stafford's had back injuries or back concerns for the better part of 10 years now. So this isn't something new. That's why I'm not as concerned with him being out right now. I think this is kind of posturing, but at some point the wheels do fall off, right? At some point, you're not going to be able to recover from or rebound from back injuries as well as or play through back injuries as well as he's been able to play through back injuries. I'll say this too about Puka Nacua. Do I want to take Puka Nacua in the first round, or do I want to take Devontae Adams in the 3rd round, or possibly the later half of the 2nd round? I think Devontae Adams is going to outplay Puka Nacua this year. That's my guess, because I do believe that Devontae Adams is a more all-around, well-rounded wide receiver. I think he'll find the end zone better than Puka does. Puka doesn't find the end zone very well. I think that'll be one of the biggest differences between them. Like, you're not only getting a guy who can do all of the stuff in the intermediate that they like their wide receivers to do, but you also have a guy who can go and get busy and get into the end zone. And so I think Devontae Adams has an opportunity to have a better season than Puka Nacua does in fantasy. And he's going around, 30 right now. And so if I'm looking at him or if I'm looking at Puka, and I don't know about the quarterback situation, and now everything just becomes even, especially if Stafford has to miss time with the back injury, I'm going with who I think the better overall all-around wide receiver is, and that's Devontae Adams.
Yeah, I've been saying that the one concern I do have about Puka has been the lack of touchdowns. He has 9 touchdowns in 28 games, and I do think Adams coming in is really going to help them in the red zone. He's a cerebral receiver, knows how to get open, and didn't show any decline last year. So Adams, I think, there's a good chance he gets more touchdowns. I mean, Puka's going to get a lot of volume. And the thing you love about the Rams, you know where the football is going. They
Yeah.
keep it concentrated on those wide receivers. We've seen it year after year. So that's the good thing there. Cam Skattebo is going to miss some time with the leg injury. He's been going, depending on where you're drafting, there are times where Skattebo goes first, other drafts where Tracy goes first. But with this, does this put Tracy maybe a little ahead right now? Or are you going to take the discount going, hey, we still have a month to go. Skattebo, he could be ready week 1. We don't know at this point. What does this news do for you when it comes to that Giants backfield?
Tyrone Tracy played 6 collegiate seasons and an NFL season, and he still doesn't have as much wear and tear on his body as Cam Skattebo does. Like, that concerns me. Skattebo played a lot of football. He carried the ball a lot. He carried the ball a ton at Sacramento State before he transferred to Arizona State. Then he carried the ball at Arizona State as if they had nothing else on the team except for him. Like, I'm concerned about backs who have that much wear and tear on their bodies coming into the league. So I don't know why it was ever a thing where Cam Skattebo was going ahead of Tyrone Tracy. My guess was that people thought that Skattebo would get the goal line touches, but that's considering or thinking that the way in which the Giants are going to go about their business is through the rushing attack, and they haven't shown any signs that is the way they want to try to win football games. The way they're wanting to try to win football games is through the passing game. That's why they drafted Malik Neighbors. That's why they went out and got 3 quarterbacks in the same season. Like, they want to be able to throw the ball successfully, like some of these other teams who have these high potent offenses. I think Tyrone Tracy did a great job last year. Only has up to go and has one of the freshest bodies of any running back in the NFL. So I look at him and say he's probably my running back 1. I don't know why people are so heavy on Skattebo before seeing him play, and I'm worried about that volume that he's already put on his body before he ever came into the league.
People love rookies in fantasy. They like the unknown. That's why.
Facts.
It's true. You see it all the time. And look, many times it does work out, but there's a lot of times that it doesn't. So, and also adjusting to the NFL, being healthy, being able to be available and on the field is important as well. When we return, we'll take a look at some ADP battles, guys going in similar range. You're on the clock. Who would you take? Find out next. It is Fantasy Life here on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Back here, Fantasy Life, Adam Ronis and Gene Clemons. And see, with Kendall Valenzuela out today, I get some of my music. Because, Gene, this doesn't happen very often. Kendall, she runs the show. They do whatever she says, man. She gets her music. And, they play, one song for me at the end. And that's all I get.
I just feel like anytime I'm on, they know, let's get this thing popping. So I appreciate it. We have the best producers in the world. So I really do appreciate the fact they get it popping when I'm on here.
Yeah, definitely. Tim Reardon and Faith Kessler producing the show today, so thanks to them. Again, guys, check out fantasylife.com. There is content rolling out every single day. I know I have a lot of articles coming up. I know Gene does too. Gene has a couple up there now. I do as well. The rankings, we have a lot of new tools. Again, you want to draft champion. You can get it done in minutes. Guys ask all the time, I'm picking from 3, I'm picking from 8. You can go in there, put in your league parameters, sites, where you want to pick, and get it done in minutes. So just use the code SXM20 to get 20% off. All right, Gene, I want to go through some ADP battles right now. So I'm going to give you 2 players that are going close together, and I want to see, you're on the clock. The pressure's on. You can't fold here. So who are you going to take? So we're going to kick it off with Jets wide receiver Garrett Wilson and Cardinals receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. You're on the clock. You need a receiver. Which one are you taking?
I'm going Garrett Wilson. I think the combination of Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson having that relationship from college that they get to kind of, rekindle, they get that old thing back, I like it, and so I also think a lot of people are drastically underestimating Justin Fields and what he's going to do the more comfortable he gets in an offense. We saw him the last time we saw him get comfortable in an offense. DJ Moore had his best season ever as a wide receiver. And then from there on, it's been in and out, it's been up and down, right? Last year with the Steelers, he was really coming into his own, and then they benched him, even though he was playing like really well. And so I look at it where he doesn't have to look over his shoulder for a guy that's trying to snape him. Tyrod Taylor knows his role. He knows what he's there to do. He's not there to try to like make him feel uncomfortable. He's just there to be ready and a resource for the team and for him to utilize. I think he and Garrett Wilson have that ability to rekindle that relationship, and also the running ability of Justin Fields are going to make some DBs peep in the backfield that shouldn't be peeping in the backfield. And when they do, he's got all the arm necessary to just go and throw it over there. And maybe Garrett Wilson won't drop the ball like guys were dropping the ball left and right when he was in Chicago.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. Garrett Wilson, for me, I have been taking him, and you know he's going to get a lot of targets. That's number one. There's just not a lot on this depth chart, and we've seen it throughout his career. His targets, 147, 168, 154. He's played every game in his first 3 seasons. He's gone over 1,000 yards. You know, the one question, and I think the reason why people have a little trepidation is they are worried about this offense being so run heavy and how many touchdowns they will score from a passing perspective. And that's the one thing with Wilson that has been an issue. He had 4 touchdowns his rookie year, 3 his second year. He had 7 last year, and it could have been even better if Devontae Adams didn't come in, because Wilson was the guy early, and then you saw Adams down the stretch really go off. But yeah, I'm taking Garrett Wilson here as well. I agree with you on Fields. Definitely a quarterback I want. There's a disconnect sometimes between reality and fantasy. You could say whatever you want. Justin Fields is a top fantasy quarterback. He's been a QB1 whenever he steps out on that field, averaging 50 rushing yards per game in his career. We know what these running quarterbacks do. Next up, Ricky Pearsall versus Jakobi Meyers. Who are you taking?
I'm taking Jakobi Meyers. I don't have to worry about the way that the targets will be divvied up. The one thing that you know about Las Vegas that you can't tell about San Francisco is that it's going to be a traditional style of playmakers. There's one running back, one tight end, one wide receiver, right? And we know who those guys are going to be. And so I think Jakobi Meyers being that one wide receiver, he's going to be helped by having an upgrading quarterback. He's going to be helped by the tight end being an all-world alien. He's going to be helped by the rookie coming in and garnering a lot of attention in the run game and even out of the backfield as a pass receiver. He'll receive the lion's share of the targets as the receiver. Remember, people talk about how much Brock Bowers was targeted last year, but right up underneath him was Jakobi Meyers. And that's with multiple wide receivers with multiple quarterbacks throwing him the ball. And now you get the most accurate quarterback in the NFL throwing you the ball. I like it for him. Over in San Fran, it's just a lot of unknowns. It's a lot of, we don't know who's going to be featured, who's going to be out there, who's going to be healthy. And I'd rather fade that when put with those two guys together. I like Pearsall. I think Pearsall has a chance to have a really good season, but I don't like him over Jakobi Meyers.
Yeah, right now, Pearsall is one of the few receivers healthy for San Francisco. Juwan Jennings dealing with this calf issue once again, aggravated that. Brandon Ayuk still not back. So right now, Pearsall, one of the few healthy receivers on the field for San Francisco. And yeah, on underdog, the ADP is really close. Pearsall's at 70.6, Jakobi Meyers 71.5. But on other sites, Jakobi Meyers has a little bit of an advantage. Then there's a site where they're both at like 114 on Yahoo. So again, knowing the platform is important here. There's a huge gap between Meyers and Pearsall on CBS. I mean, massive, like 50. But every others, it's really close and very tight on underdog. So again, knowing the platform or where you draft is really important. Next up, I think I know the answer now based on what you said, but we'll see. Maybe you'll surprise us. Let's go with 2 quarterbacks, Bo Nix versus Justin Fields.
Well, we're going Justin Fields. I've been harsh on Bo Nix. I said I thought Bo Nix might have the best chance for regression this year. I still think he'll be quality, but if you're asking me which one of these 2 guys are going to get busy with their feet more, Bo Nix or Justin Fields, is not even close, right? And so for me, I think that even if even if I'm saying, hey, Bo Nix is probably going to pass the ball better than Justin Fields, which I don't for sure know. I just can say, hey, based off of what we've seen, Bo Nix would probably be a better passer than Justin Fields. Even with that being the case, we know how much the rushing upside for a quarterback changes the dynamic. You already said it. Every time Justin Fields is out there, he's a QB1. So with that said, I think it's a no-brainer for me, Justin Fields over Bo Nix.
Yeah, and their ADPs are really close. So when you're at a draft, like I feel I want to get Justin Fields and I wait. I'm like, okay, I can get him. And then there's always a couple people in that room who have the same perspective. So I do think if you are on Fields, you might need to be a little bit more aggressive than the ADP. Now, on Underdog, they're close. 98.5 for Bo Nix, Justin Fields 100.7. I think if you just ask people most of the time, they're going to say Bo Nix, right? I think there's still that stigma against Fields a little bit. But I do see in some of the drafts that I've seen over the weekend, the Flex League drafts, which were covered here on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. You can hear them on the app. There were two. There was the Super Flex draft that I did, and then the single quarterback league that I participated in that Jeff Ratcliffe broadcasted. And Fields and both went kind of early. So I feel like there's always going to be a handful of people in the room who like Fields. So you might need to be a little bit more aggressive if you're targeting Fields this year.
Yeah, it's a funny story. On Fantasy Life right now, you can find my my blog that I did on our on a draft that I was in, and I had targeted quarterback. I wanted to take quarterback somewhere around 9 and 10. Round 9, 10. I was targeting Fields. And as I was going through and rolling through, someone popped up and got Fields, I believe, in round 8. And it just reminded me of something that I already should know. If you really want a player, don't wait on them. Like, if you really want the player, go up and get the player. I'm really big on going to get quarterbacks early. If I want like an elite level quarterback, I like to have an elite level quarterback. So I'll reach for a quarterback around early as opposed to trying to wait and see if those guys will drop to me in round 3 where their ADP says they're going. I just don't want to take the chance of losing. I lost out on Fields. Then I had a secondary plan. I waited around too long and lost out on those 3 dudes too. And so you got to check that out. My diary on that, it was really, really good. And it was me in real time having to make adjustments for me waiting too long to get a quarterback. So if you like a guy and you think he's your guy, go and get him around, maybe even 2 rounds early. Don't wait. You're probably going to get sniped.
Yeah, and that's why it's good to do these best ball drafts, do these draft champion practices on Fantasy Life, because it'll remind you, hey, if I want this guy, I got to go get him. Let's look at 2 rookie running backs, TreyVeon Henderson, Kaleb Johnson. Who are you taking there?
Ooh, this one's much more difficult because I think both of them will be in a timeshare. But I think TreyVeon Henderson has the chance to emerge as the one in the timeshare faster than maybe Kaleb does, because I do think that he's going to have a harder battle to usurp the guy that's there. I've always just felt like every back that New England had on their roster was a running back 2, running back 3. I didn't think they ever had a running back 1 on there. And so I think they have a running back 1 now. I think it'll show because he has an ability to do it all. He can hit the home run. He can get some tough yards for you. He can block, and I think those things matter in real football, even though we don't think about it in fantasy. Not being able to block is going to limit how much time you're on the field, because they need to be able to trust you to block and then leak out into the, into a pass route. And if you can't block, and we've heard some issues about Kaleb Johnson and his blocking, like I think it's going to affect him being on the field during those obvious passing downs. And if you're not getting those easy PPR points off of a couple check downs and some running, I don't know how you're going to usurp that guy in front of you.
Yeah, Henderson looks like he's going to play a massive role in the passing game, injecting some speed into that offense that wasn't there last year. And you brought up what I was just going to say about Johnson with some of the pass protection issues we're hearing in camp. You really think Aaron Rodgers is going to let that slide?
Never.
You think he's going to let those mistakes happen on the football field? Not going to happen. So definitely something to pay attention to. When we return, it's time for draft or pass. You're on the clock. This player's on the board. You're going to draft or pass. Find out next. It is Fantasy Life here on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Back here, Fantasy Life. Adam Ronis and Gene Clemons taking you until noon Eastern. We're going to get to your calls in just a little bit. 888-963-2682. But time now, as you just heard there, for a draft or pass. So I'm going to present a player to Gene and see if he's going to draft or pass when he's on the clock. So let's start it off with Cowboys wide receiver George Pickens. Draft or pass? And again, this is based on their general ADP.
Draft. Respectfully, I am going to draft him. I think that this is the perfect marriage for a guy like George Kittle. Will he have times where he blows up because he's a little volatile? Yeah. But will he be like everything that they need out of a number 2 wide receiver? Somebody who can be number 1-esque when all of the attention gets paid to CeeDee Lamb? Absolutely. We've long talked about the talent and the ability of George Pickens. We've looked at the quarterbacks that he's had and said, man, they're not doing him any favors. Like, gone is the moon ball, and now like a legitimate ball that has an ability to reach him without him having to break stride and jump up to go and get it. I think this is a great place for him to land, and he should be motivated and rejuvenated in Dallas because like he's out of that offense in Pittsburgh, which might be the most boring, predictable offense in all of the NFL.
Yeah, there's that human element to it as well, right? You're in an offense, as you said, it's boring, you're frustrated, you're not getting the football enough. Now here you go to a team that's going to be pass heavy. You have CeeDee Lamb getting so much attention on the other side. They were lacking a vertical threat in this Cowboys offense. And Pickens also has the opportunity to earn a big contract. So he kind of needs to be on his best behavior here. He even said, I'm going to go out and prove it. And he has the opportunity. And he's been slowly creeping up. I still think he's a bargain on a lot of sites. Now, underdog, as we said, receivers get pushed up there. You got to overpay for them many times. His ADP is 47 there. But looking on other sites, and again, this is with the Fantasy Life ADP tool, it's ridiculous on some sites. I mean, 73.2 on Yahoo, smash easily. 75.9 on ESPN, 68.4 on CBS, 70.8 on RT Sports. The highest one is Sleeper at 61.4. But even there, I mean, you're talking 5th round for Pickens. That could be your 3rd or 4th receiver. So, yeah, it's the best spot he's been in his career, the best quarterback he's played with. So he's definitely set up for success this year. How about tight end David Njoku? We know the talent is there. He has been falling a little bit, I think, because people are concerned about the quarterback situation. Who's it going to be? Could it change multiple times this year? But David Njoku, draft or pass?
Man, this one's difficult because I do think he can have success. I just don't know when the success is going to come or if it's going to be consistent. I'm going to pass on this one. I don't like the fact that I don't know what's going on with the wide receivers. Here's another situation of people saying one thing and then the video showing another. Like, because people are like, hey, Shakir Sanders is not even a thought in this, like, for this quarterback thing. And I'm going, okay, cool. So then why is it every time we see video coming out of the Browns, it's Shakir Sanders throwing touchdown passes? Every time we see these camp stats, which I think are ridiculous, but somebody's taking them. Every time we see the camp stats, Shakir Sanders is 9 for 10 with 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, right? Like why is it every time we see Shakir Sanders' name is attached to something positive, but people keep telling us it's going to be Dylan Gabriel, right? Oh, Dylan Gabriel is the guy. We haven't seen any video of Dylan Gabriel doing anything well. We haven't seen any statistics to back up Dylan Gabriel doing anything well, but that's what we're saying. To me, that's a giant red flag when what's being said and the narratives that are coming out of that place don't tend to match the pictures and the videos and the statistics that I see coming out. I don't know what's going on. That would be a wait and see for me. And it could be a situation where people pick up an Njoku and the first 4 weeks of the season, it's a mess. They drop Njoku, then they figure it out, and all of a sudden Njoku becomes like, one of those guys who comes on late. Very similar to what happened with Andrews
Mark
last year
Andrews,
for
yeah, I was just gonna
Baltimore.
say that. That's funny. I was
Yeah,
thinking the same thing because that's exactly what happened. He was dealing with that car accident, got off to the slow start, had a couple zeros, people dropped him, and then he goes on and scores touchdowns almost every week.
every week.
All right, how about Kyren Williams? Now, I did doubt him last year, hand up, and the efficiency wasn't as good, but the numbers were great for fantasy. And he's generally going late second, early third round. Draft or pass Kyren Williams?
I have to draft him because he's a starting running back on an offense that doesn't throw the ball to anything but really two people. And they're going to run the ball, especially if Matthew Stafford's dealing with back injuries. They're going to give him carries. He got a lot of volume last year, even though his, his per rush or per reception numbers weren't the greatest. He did get a lot of volume, and I think that matters. So yeah, I'm gonna draft.
Yeah, he just got so many carries near the goal line. The
Mm-hmm.
touchdowns were there, 14 rushing touchdowns, 2 receiving. And he went from 228 carries in 12 games. He had injuries. He had injuries in the offseason, too. And then he played 16 games at 316 carries. That's what was insane because, he's not the biggest back. And, I took him the year 2023, like in the double digit rounds. I had him in a lot of leagues, so I had a great year because of Kyren Williams, getting him so late, littered across all my teams. And then last year I just passed and just watched him get touchdown after touchdown last year. How about Zay Flowers for a wide receiver for the Baltimore Ravens? Draft or pass?
Zay Flowers is interesting because he was injured last year. Um, you think he's going to be healthy this year, but don't know. There are more weapons for Lamar Jackson now too, with D Hopman in place. But I'm going to draft. I think that he is their guy, and he will continue to ascend as long as he's healthy. I'll take the chance. I'll draft him.
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree with you on this. I'm passing. It's just fantasy. It doesn't work out for him. I mean, Lamar Jackson had a career high 41 touchdown passes, and Zay Flowers was 35th in points per game in PPR formats. He just doesn't score enough touchdowns. Love the player from a real life perspective, but he's not a red zone target. They run a lot, and I just don't see the ceiling there. So if Lamar Jackson had a career year in touchdown passes, and the best we could get out of Zay Flowers is 35th in points per game in PPR formats, I just don't see how it can get better unless he's breaking these long touchdowns, 40, 50 yards, and somehow gets 8, 9 touchdowns. I just don't see it for fantasy. I think there's players in that range that just are going to put up better numbers. So I'm going to have to pass on Zay Flowers. Final one, quarterback Baker Mayfield coming off a career season, 2 really good years in a row with Tampa Bay. Are you going to draft or pass Baker Mayfield, generally going as the QB7 off the board?
Um, this one's difficult because, like I said, I like some of these other guys who have some rushing upside to them that are going well after him. Um, so I'm probably going to pass from that perspective because he's not my kind of quarterback in fantasy. But I do think he'll have another good year because what these offensive coordinators have figured out is if I go in here and just kind of duplicate what happened last year, regardless of the wins and losses, I'm going to have a chance to get a head coaching job. And so that's what I think that's the way they're looking at it. And that all goes through the passing game. I also think it's a little bit of a if we see Bucky Irvin ascend to legitimate RB1 status, how much does him running the ball effectively take away from them passing the ball as much? That could be a detriment to the statistics for Baker Mayfield. So I'm going to pass on this mostly because not my style of quarterback for fantasy, but also there could be some regression from what he's done the last 2 years.
Yeah, I agree on this one. Like, I'm going to pass too, just because I like a lot of the other quarterbacks that you might be able to get 1, 2, 3 rounds later that could put up similar numbers. You're basically paying for Baker Mayfield's career year. And I agree, he could have another good year. I mean, look at all the weapons around him and the way this offense has had success 2 years in a row, 2 straight years of 4,000 yards. But it might go back to what we saw 2 years ago, which again, is not a bad year. 28 touchdowns he had the year, so maybe 30, 32. It's not going to be 41. I mean, that touchdown percentage is going to go down, right? We already know that. It was 7.2% last year. It's 5% for his career. It was 4.9% 2 years ago. So Baker Mayfield could still have a very good year, but last year you were getting him in the final rounds or off the waiver wire. Now you have to pay QB7 off the board. So that is something that I cannot do. So I agree. I will pass. When we return, we'll wrap up the hour talking to you guys. 888-963-2682. It is Fantasy Life here on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. It is Fantasy Life here on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Adam Ronis and Gene Clemons taking you until noon Eastern. Check us out, fantasylife.com. Promo code SXM20 gets you 20% off. You could call in now at 888-963-2682 or use the new call-in button on the Sirius XM app. You could dial straight in from the Sirius XM app. Just look for that phone icon on your favorite live shows. Yeah, so easy, man, right? Just push that button, man.
I need to call in and just like bug you guys like during the week sometimes.
We're waiting for it. We'll be prepared. We'll know when you call in. All right, let's go to the phone lines now. Let's go to Joe in New Jersey. Joe, what's up? No problem. Where are you at in Jersey?
Jersey Shore, like Point Pleasant area.
Okay, cool, man. Yeah, I got to get out to the beach again. I went there a couple weeks ago. Maybe get in one more because the grind is beginning now with fantasy football. So got to be on top of things. But what's your question?
Yeah, you got to get down one more time. Get down to Jenkinson's. So I got a keeper question. It's a 10-man league. I won it last year thanks to you guys. I got Kyren Williams. It would be in the 3rd round. DeAndre Swift would be the 4th round. Montgomery would be the 5th round. I had McLaurin. That could be the 6th round, which I'm a little nervous about him, but from what you guys are saying, it seems he's going to be all right. And then I got Bucky Irvin, which I'm obviously going to keep in the 16th round. So I need two more guys.
Do you have to
out
keep
of the first 4 I gave you? I don't have to keep. I can keep up to 3. So I'm definitely keeping Bucky in the 15th or the 16th, but I'm not sure about the other ones if I wanted to keep
Gene,
anyone.
what do you think? Because there's like Swift's not a value in the 4th in a 10-team league. You can get him later. Montgomery's not a value in the 5th in a 10-team league.
Nope.
McLaurin's a slight value.
I'm about to say it's hit or miss with McLaurin right there, but obviously Bucky you're going to keep him.
Yeah, that's the layup. So I guess if you had to keep 2, would it be Kyren and McLaurin then?
Yeah. It'd probably be Kyren and McLaurin. I think because McLaurin is still, if he's out there, he's still wide receiver number 1. He's going to get targets. You know what he brings to the table, and in the second year with a quarterback is going to be better chemistry. That's probably the way I'd go.
Yeah, I guess if everyone's keeping 3 though, that's about 30 players. So, yeah, if you had to, but again, not great values. Let's go to Tony in Kansas City.
Hey guys, I have a 12-team half-point PPR. I only have to start 1 running back, and I've got 2 keepers. Devon Achane, Justin Jefferson, and Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, if I kept one of those guys, they'd be my first-round pick. If I kept 2, they'd be my first and second-round pick. But then I got a lot of value with Chase Brown as an 8th-round pick. So I'm wondering, should I go Justin Jefferson and get the value with Chase, or just go Jahmyr and Justin?
Yeah. What would you do, Gene? I'm going
Jahmyr and Justin.
Yeah, and
personally.
This happens a lot in keeper leagues, right? People are always searching for value, and I understand it because normally when you ask this question, Chase Brown 8th round, easy guy to keep, but you're getting an elite receiver in Jefferson who's done it with every quarterback, and Jahmyr Gibbs who could see an increased role. I think you have to do this, Gene.
Yeah, this is 2 guys who are probably going the first round that you're going to get in the 1st and 2nd round. So I think from that perspective alone, I would do it.
Yeah, I've seen in high-stakes leagues, Jahmyr Gibbs go as high as 2, sometimes 3. You generally see him 5th, 6th, 7th off the board. Jefferson, you see 2, 3, 4. Yes, he's dealing with this hamstring issue right now. But again, we're sitting here on August 4th. Yeah. And they're going to be very cautious. There's no need to push these guys. And if there's any time to deal with it, you rather have it now. Let them sit out, rest, be 100% for the start of the season. So you're getting 2 guys in the top 5, essentially. Yeah, forget about the value. Just take the 2 best players. One more hour to go. Lots to get to. We got the water cooler coming up next. We'll look at Gene's must-draft players. That's all ahead. Fantasy Life, Sirius XM, Fantasy Sports Radio. Fantasy Life here on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Adam Ronis and Gene Clemons here for one more hour, taking you until noon Eastern here on a Monday to start August. We'll take your calls in just a little bit. 888-963-2682. Some of the news that we hit at the top: James Cook not practicing again today. He's not in uniform. He's at practice. When he was asked about it on Sunday, he said business. That was the answer for everything. Obviously wants a new contract there as he heads into the final year of his rookie deal. Khalil Shakir dealing with a high ankle sprain, going to miss several weeks. And Matthew Stafford still bothered by that back injury. So we'll keep an eye on that. But let's take a look at some other things in the water cooler. So the Texan Wire's Cole Thompson reports that Nick Chubb's burst is nowhere to be found. We know Joe Mixon dealing with this foot injury. We don't know his status. Joe Mixon is really falling in drafts, and I get it. I understand why. There's got to be a lot of concern for Mixon. So seeing some drafts over the weekend, he was falling. I did not jump in. So people would think, oh, okay, that automatically means that Nick Chubb is going to move up. And the problem is that Chubb hasn't been the same. He's older since that knee injury, and it was a limited sample last year. But I am rooting for Nick Chubb to return. I want to see it, but I have my doubts. Where are you on Nick Chubb? Also, Woody Marks now in that backfield as well could see an increase role with Mixon out. Are you interested in Nick Chubb because of this Joe Mixon situation?
Yeah, unfortunate for Joe Mixon owners and fantasy managers and Joe Mixon himself, but I'm not in on Nick Chubb, and I love Nick Chubb. I was really bummed that he had that level of knee injury, but those types of knee injuries don't usually bring the burst back. Like, you don't normally get the burst back when those types of knee injuries, and it's not his first. You know, he's just had a slew of these lower body injuries that at some point, it doesn't matter how powerful you are, it's not, the explosion's not going to come back, the elasticity to be able to just go. And I think that's what we're seeing. I think he's washed. And outside of maybe as a short yardage goal line kind of back, I don't really see his value on a play in, play out basis. I think he's a 3 yards and a cloud of dust guy. And that's not who Nick Chubb has been. Nick Chubb has been the guy who can grind you out 4 to 5 yards and then take 150 and 60 and 70. And so if he can't do that anymore, he becomes very limited. He's never been somebody that was big in the passing game. So yeah, I'm out on Nick Chubb.
Yeah, I am at as well too. And it doesn't, to me, the price doesn't really matter. People will say, oh, it's the 11th, 12th round. I'll take a chance on him. What am I going to lose? I think there's players in those rounds that could be way better. So I'm just going to pass. We have seen him move up a little bit. I'm looking on Yahoo and CBS, 125, 124. I'm not taking him in that area. Like, he's going ahead of Braylon Allen. Why would I even do that?
Yeah, and that's crazy to me. Braylon Allen, a big, athletic, strong, young back that doesn't have a ton of carries on his body because of the way he was used after his first year at Wisconsin. Man, I just think for me, all of those guys, like those guys similar in those similar situations, I'm taking the upside value over what I know about Nick Chubb and who he is right now.
Yeah, I'd rather wait. And if you want to dip in that backfield, Woody Marks goes later. I think the way this is shaping up is they're going to be more pass heavy in the Texans. I don't think they're going to trust the backfield. Again, we don't know when Joe Mixon is going to be back, but the reports have not been positive. Like, this entire offseason, it just continues to get worse.
Yeah, I think that the number 2 guy behind him or whoever will be the guy on week 1, I don't think he's on the roster right now.
That's
I think they've got
possible.
I think they've got their eye on some guys, and let's see how it plays out. If those guys get cut, they can scoop them up. Wouldn't be surprised if there's a Devin Singletary reunion in Houston. He's with New York, but if it is true that Cam Skattebo is the number 2 guy or will be the number 2 guy, then what's the value of having Devin Singletary as your number 3 when you've already got those other guys who are special teamers, and Singletary has never really been a special teamer. So he might be on the way out either via trade or being cut and picked up. I could see him going back to Houston. There's some other names out there right now. Zach Moss, I don't know if he's still looking for a home, but I'd kick the tires on the Zach Moss right now over what I know I'm getting, out of those guys that are on my roster right now. So there'll be some names. There are plenty of backs out there. There's never a shortage of them. And they'll find somebody to be able to run the ball. But I think you're right. They'll definitely lean into the pass more. They've got some intriguing pass catchers and some guys coming back from injury. We'll see how they do.
Yeah, certainly more targets there for CJ Stroud this year. So James Conner, whenever he's been the back for Arizona, they give him a full workload. People have doubted him over the years, like, oh, he's getting older, he's going to get hurt. And he didn't last year, although championship week, he went out there and basically gave you nothing. But for the most part, he was healthy all year. And even in the offseason, I heard Jonathan Gannon saying, yeah, he's still our guy. But then over the weekend, Conner said he expects Trey Benson to get a lot of playing time this season, and he's been impressed with him. So when a player says it, do you buy into it? Do you think this is the year, okay, maybe they scale back a little bit on Conner and we see more Trey Benson involved in this offense?
I'd love to say yeah, but we thought that last year. And James Conner just went out there and was consistent and was the same old James Conner that we see every year. So I'm going to have to see it to believe it. I'm at that point right now. James Conner has never been someone that has been like so explosive that if he loses that explosiveness, he loses his effectiveness. Very different than what we're seeing out of Chubb, right? Like he's always been kind of like a middle of the road type of guy with his athleticism, and I think that is what's allowed him to continue to be consistent from his time with the Steelers to now with the Cardinals, is because there's nothing that's so otherworldly about his game that there's a fall off. The thing that's otherworldly about him is his will, and that will doesn't go anywhere, right? And so I think that's why he's been consistent. It's gonna take just a legitimate conscious effort to say, hey, we know that you can still run, James Conner, but we're just gonna give this guy the ball some more than we have in the past. Almost similar to what we saw happen with Frank Gore. I don't think we ever really saw Frank Gore just fall off. We just started seeing people go, listen, Frank Gore, we love you, but we're going to give somebody else the ball.
Yeah, with James Conner, looking at that ADP tool on fantasylife.com, it varies. 34.4 in CBS, which is an easy pass. Like, no way you're drafting him in round 3. 59.1 on Underdog, 52.7 on ESPN. So generally, 5th round for Conner, probably for one of those teams that says, okay, I need an RB2, I'll take him here, because he tends to perform well in fantasy, and a lot of people discount him. But we'll see if this Trey Benson comes to fruition here. So here is a comment from Ben Johnson. He was asked what players he trusts most in the passing game. He said DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Cole Kmet, and Olamide Zaccheaus. So no Colston Loveland, no Luther Burden. Now, he did say, the rookies obviously takes time, and we've seen that. So when you see a comment like that, do you read anything into it, and would it express concern for you with Loveland and Burden, or you're like, nah, I'm fine. Those guys are rookies. They're going to take some time. I'm good drafting them.
Yeah, I think for me, I haven't been drafting them because I just don't know what the situation is in Chicago with those receivers. I'm not surprised that Ben Johnson is pointing to the veterans and saying, hey, I trust them the most. Like, why would you trust these rookies that you're asking them to do things that maybe they didn't even do in college, right? And so it's going to take some time for them to figure out how they fit into this offense, how comfortable they are with limited amounts of targets. I think it's definitely a change when you go from being like one of the most targeted or one of the man on your team to being one of many on your team. It takes some adjustment and it takes some getting used to. Loveland is still going to have to get used to being a better blocker than he's been when he was in college, because I don't know what all these people are talking about. he was not a factor as a blocker for me when he was in college. So if he's just going to be a big slot receiver, then he's Luther Burden, right? Like, and he's not better than Luther Burden at being Luther Burden. So I'm like, I don't know how that's going to work out for him, especially with Cole Kmet there. So many question marks for those guys. I would stay away right now, but I've been staying away because I'm just not sure what that offense is going to look like with all of those weapons in tow.
Do you believe in Caleb Williams? He's another guy that we've seen mixed reports, and again, depends on what video you watch. Do you feel this is the year that Williams can put it together with everything that's been done with Chicago upgrading the offensive line, bringing in these weapons?
Yeah, I think for Williams, it's going to come down to him just trusting and believing in himself as an athlete and not trying to be what the outside world thinks is the ideal quarterback, right? Like I think what we've seen some of these athletic quarterbacks become ultra successful is when they stop trying to fit into the cookie cutter mold of what the world or society believes the quarterback is supposed to be. There was times last year where he's trying to string out a play and string it out. And I'm like, yo, just go and run and get those 15 yards right there, right? Like he's stringing out a play, stringing out a play, stringing out a play. Hey, man, just go pick up some positive yards, live to fight another day, and get back at it. We saw Lamar Jackson starting to try to do that more last season. And then somewhere halfway through the year, he remembered he's the most dynamic quarterback in all of the land and started running again and almost rushed for 1,000 yards in a half a season because he wasn't really running the ball very much throughout the first half. So I think if Williams just believes in his athleticism and how that can change the game, I think he has a chance to have a really good season because he does have a lot of weapons to throw to. Like he's no short of weapons.
Speaking of rookie tight ends, Tyler Warren, there's talk that they're moving him all around in camp, and we saw that in college. He played the traditional tight end, slot, outside, and even was lined up in the backfield. Are you high on Tyler Warren for this year? We've seen rookie tight ends the last few years come into the league and produce, whereas it always took them a while. He was a high draft pick. Do you see yourself drafting Tyler Warren this year? What are your expectations for him?
I think he can have a fantastic rookie season. I think he's in a far better position than Colston Loveland is because he's a tight end one for sure. Like he's the guy that's going to be out there for sure. And if you're looking around their wide receiving core, who's like the legitimate wide receiver one on their team? Like who's the guy you're saying, okay, yeah, he pencil him in for 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns or 1,200 yards and 10. Nobody. There's no guy out there like that. So for me, I'm looking at it and saying he can be that guy, especially if they're dedicated to moving him all around and using him kind of as a wild card joker type of position. What'll be interesting is, will they line him up at quarterback? Will they line him up at quarterback to do short yardage and goal line running? And will that then take away from Anthony Richardson's ability to be fantasy relevant because he's getting snaked for those goal line touches?
Yeah, or if they even incorporate the tush push, right? We saw with Mark Andrews, so I guess that's something definitely to keep an eye on. For the Browns, it's being reported that Cedric Tillman is likely their number 2 wide receiver. We saw a nice stretch from Cedric Tillman last year where he really came through. If you picked him up off the waiver wire, and I know I did in a few leagues, and after seeing him go off, I was like, all right, this is going to be good because he had a stretch of 3 touchdowns in 3 games. He had a stretch of 40 targets over 4 games. So Tillman is someone that I am drafting late in the double-digit rounds. Of course, we do have the questions at quarterback for the Browns, but are you considering Cedric Tillman in the double-digit rounds?
I'll tell you, I'm considering him, but I'm just really nervous about what this quarterback room is supposed to be, and what they're going to commit to, right? Like there's still some thoughts in the air that that we could still see Watson back at some point, right? Like just even the thought that he's off of 2 ruptured Achilles and he might still be in play. None of those names get me excited except for Shadur Sanders, but it seems as if he's not in the game plan. So I don't know. We saw what it looked like before Jameis Winston came in and took over as far as what these wide receivers were doing. It was ugly for all of them. So I don't know if it's going to be that ugly. But it does make me pause. He is interesting though, because I think the value is definitely there with him.
Yeah, and that's the whole situation with the Browns, why people are a little leery of taking some of these guys because they just don't know what the quarterback situation is. But I will take that chance on Tillman, and if it doesn't work out, that'll be a cut in redraft league. So, but I'm still interested in the talent, and good to hear he is the favorite for the number 2. We'll get to the phones now, 888-963-2682. You can also dial in straight from the Sirius XM app by looking for the phone icon on your favorite live shows. Let's go to, we have Joseph in Texas.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thank you so much for taking my call. How are y'all doing today?
Doing good.
Hey, doing well, man. Thank you, Joseph.
Hey, that's awesome to hear, guys. Hey, so my question that I have for y'all, it's to discuss a little bit on y'all were talking about sniping, and I just want to say right now, I am high on Justin Fields, but I don't want to get sniped. Do y'all recommend taking him very high, or do you just take that chance of like, hey, he may get sniped?
It depends, I guess, what round.
Yeah, what's
looking.
very high.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally understand what you are saying. I mean, of course, let's say in the first round, everybody's, they're getting the Lamar Jacksons, the Josh Allens, Jaden Daniels, so forth and so on. Let's say I have the low first round or high second round. Would y'all recommend that, or would you say going for a better wide receiver or a running back?
So you're talking super flex, correct? Or 2 quarterback league?
Correct.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember. So we did this super flex league draft over the weekend. If you missed it, Joseph, check it out on the app. The problem with that one is that people really waited on quarterbacks, and I was surprised. I've played in this league at the last 6, 7, 8 years. They moved me out this year so I can broadcast the draft this time. And I was surprised. There was our boy, Lawrence Jackson. He waited until round 9 to get his first quarterback. I think Rich Rebar waited till round 8. So that's something you typically don't see. Fields did go to Dane Martinez in round 3. Okay? So, Gene, in a super flex league, would you take Fields at the end of round 2?
I don't know about the end of round 2, but I will say this. My philosophy in Superflex is I want 2 quarterbacks in the first 4 rounds. So I'm taking 2 quarterbacks if I'm dealing in the back end of the draft, if I have a end of the first round, beginning of the second round type of deal, I may have to take him because by the time it gets to me in the 3rd round, he may not be there. So if you want him in the super flex, you may have to go back to back quarterback, or running back and then him. But like for me, those first 4 rounds, I want to get 2 legitimate quarterbacks and put them on my roster. So if you like Fields and there's a run on him coming up to you, then you probably going to have to pull that trigger on him because he won't make it back around to you, especially in the super flex league.
Yeah. And again, I think the Superflex league that we saw over the weekend is not typical of what you're going to get in your home league. 5 quarterbacks went in the first 6 picks. Okay, that's something you usually see. Then we didn't see another one in the first round. We saw 2 in the second round. And the 6th quarterback off the board was Dak Prescott, who you typically don't see. So guys were going for who they believe in. We saw J.J. McCarthy go first pick of round 4. So Fields, like I said, went 3-3. So I think in your home league, you will see the quarterbacks go way quicker. You're not going to see 2 quarterbacks in round 2. There was 3 in round 3, 1 in round 4. So a lot of people were pushing the quarterbacks down. So to me, I've always said this in a Superflex league, I kind of read the draft room. And if I was in this, I would have waited too, because I would have said, oh, okay.
They're not taking them.
Yeah. So I would have waited too. Now, if I'm picking in the top 6, I'm going to grab one, right? I'm going to take one of those elite guys. And if I had done that in this, I would have taken that guy and I would have waited on my second. And it would have probably been round 5, because in round 5, the teams that took Lamar Jackson, Burrow, Hurts, one of them got Goff, one of them got Herbert, one of them got Purdy. I'm fine with that, especially if you get the elite quarterback. I actually tend to wait a little bit longer when I've been in this league. 2 years ago, I had Jordan Love as my second quarterback in his breakout year. Last year, I had Sam Darnold in round 15. So you have to get, I guess, a little lucky and identify the quarterbacks that you think are going too late that can break out. Like when I spoke with Lawrence, he was high in Bryce Young. That was his QB1. You probably don't want him as your QB1, but if you get him as a QB2 and he continues to do what he did in the second half last year, then it can really work out in a big way. So, again, that draft I don't think is going to be indicative of what's going to go on in your home league. We know these quarterbacks get pushed up. So you will probably see Justin Fields in a Superflex league probably go round 2, round 3. So it depends on where you pick, and I think you really have to read the draft room. I think it's really important there and be flexible on the fly. When we return, we'll take a look at my Flex League draft from the weekend. I had pick 3. Who did I go with? How did I build my team? What does Gene think? We'll find out next. It is Fantasy Life here on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Adam Ronis and Gene Clemons here on Fantasy Life. You heard the highlight there. We had the Flex Leagues over the weekend in New York City. There were 2 drafts broadcast right here on the channel. You can hear those drafts on the app. There was a Super Flex League, and then there was a league with 1 quarterback. I was in that one. It was 12 teams, half-point PPR, no tight end required. So it's a flex spot for the tight end. So we start 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, 3 flex spots, no kickers, no defenses. Jake Seeley runs the leagues. He hates kickers. So we've never had kickers. And I guess
shout out to Jake.
Defenses were eliminated this year. So it was a good time. Got to see a lot of people in the industry that, we don't get to see each other that often. Sometimes 1, 2 times a year. Sometimes you don't get out to any event. So it was a good time in New York, and I've been a part of this league since the inception. So it was fun to be a part of. So like I said, I was usually in the Superflex League all these years, switched this year. So I had picked 3, and I really thought it was going to come down to Jahmyr Gibbs or CeeDee Lamb. But Jamar Chase went 1 and Saquon Barkley went 2. And I've seen Barkley fall 5, 6, 7, 8. Obviously, people are worried about his workload. We'll get to that a little bit later on. But if you were in my situation, Gene, knowing the scoring system and the setup, would you take Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, or CeeDee Lamb in that spot at 3?
Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, CeeDee Lamb. I don't think you went wrong with Bijan. I think when you add into the fact that he's the number 1 running back, he's going to get hella carries. He's going to get targets out of the backfield, especially now with a quarterback who has an ability to push the ball deep, and you have to respect the deep ball now. Those clear outs and then Bijan underneath on either quick little dump offs or screens should be a lot of money, free money in there for fantasy managers. I think you did the right thing.
Yeah, I was trying to anticipate what I would get in the later rounds. I really don't love the 2-3 turn when you're picking at the top. I feel like those players are not that far off from guys that go around later. So my plan was, if I went CeeDee Lamb, I was going to go Chase Brown. I wasn't sure if he would be available, and Chase Brown actually was available. He went 2-11. But my start, I went receiver heavy in this. I went Robinson, Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins, Teteroa McMillan, Jamison Williams, Ricky Pearsall, Emeka Egbuka. So I just said, I'm hammering wide receiver. So 1 running back and 6 receivers to start. It's not for many people. A lot of people will I got to dip in the running back pool. Maybe I'll take a quarterback. I don't know. I feel comfortable doing this. And people were like, damn, you're taking all the receivers off the board. But Gene, did you like this strategy? Is this something you could see doing, or you don't like it?
It sounded like my best ball strategy. My best ball strategy, I like to go four wide receivers out the gate. So the fact that you were able to get a hero running back and then come back with 5 wide receivers in a row, if the value's there, you just have to keep drafting the value. I think you gotta trust what your numbers tell you. You gotta trust what your eyes say. You gotta trust what your gut says. If the value is in wide receivers, why reach for running backs right there if you're getting like better value with the receivers, and then lean on those guys and your hero running back to get it done for you.
Yeah, and the way that this starting lineup is designed, I can start all those guys. So basically, I'm just now searching for an RB2 that can take over. So after going with 6 straight receivers, I have a running back. And you might be like, well, none of those guys are starters or they're split in the backfield. I really just need one of them to pop and emerge as an every week starter. And it was J.K. Dobbins, Tajay Spears, Dylan Sampson, and Ray Davis. And Spears, we've been hearing, could be more involved in the backfield. We know Tony Pollard got off to the good start last year. We did see that 1 week Pollard was out late in the year. Spears went off. He did deal with a concussion late in the year, but that could be more of a timeshare. You know, J.K. Dobbins in this Denver, I like R.J. Harvey better. But R.J. Harvey goes earlier, right? He goes 5th, 6th round. So, but Dobbins was good last year in that offense. With the Chargers now goes to Denver, where they definitely want to run the ball more. Dylan Sampson, who could be the starter week 1. I know Jerome Ford is likely the guy ahead of him, but they had Jerome Ford and they went and they drafted 2 running backs. Quinshon Judkins, obviously, we don't know what's going on with him. No contract, dealing with that legal situation. So I really need one of those guys to emerge. If I can get one of those guys to become an every week starter, then I feel pretty good about this team.
Yeah, and I think you have the chance because there's so many question marks about the one, right? There's so many question marks about the guy that's supposed to be the incumbent that you feel like there's an opportunity for that second guy to either get quality reps as a 2 or even usurp that guy as the 1. Very similar to the Tyrone Tracy situation in 2024, where the number 1 wasn't something that was that strong where there would be a problem with moving on to the number 2.
And then we talked about quarterback. So this is a 1 quarterback league, and a lot of people waited on the quarterback here. We didn't see the first quarterback go until Josh Allen, and that was at 312. I was tempted. Yeah, I was tempted to take Jalen Hurts in round 4. I was on the clock, and I was like, do I take Jalen Hurts? He's really fallen. I decided not to. He went for 11. He went with the next pick. Joe Burrow went 6'3". Now, if he would have made it back to me, because I was looking, I was like, wow, if Burrow makes it back to 6'10", I am clicking that button. He didn't. He went 6'3". I kind of figured he wouldn't make it back. Then we get into the Justin Fields conversation, okay?
Okay.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. Because once those guys are off the board, I'm like, all right, Justin Fields, that's the guy I want. And this happens in these industry leagues. It's quarterback chicken. It's like, who's going to go next? So Mahomes went 7-5. We didn't see a quarterback go in round 8. We didn't see a quarterback go in round 9. And I'm like, damn, all right. So round 9, I was considering, I'm like, do I take Fields? I have 6 receivers and 2 running backs. Like, this would be a good spot. But I'm seeing everyone passing. Now, I know at some point a quarterback's going to go off the board, but I'm like, the next guy could be Baker Mayfield. So maybe seeing that a lot of teams after me were like 5 or 6 out of quarterback, I'm like, okay, hopefully someone takes Baker Mayfield. Maybe Fields makes it back. I probably should have taken him at 9-3 instead of taking my 3rd running back, knowing I'll probably get one later. I pass on him. Then no one takes one in round 9. Round 10 starts. 6 players go, no quarterbacks. I'm like, okay, here we go. Fields is going to make it back to me. I knew there were 2 teams in front of me that needed a quarterback. And Jamie Eisenberg from CBS takes Justin Fields at 10-7. A couple, 2-3 picks before me. So this is what we were talking about earlier, like with the caller, right? That's a situation where I should have just did it, right? It's round 9. Like, I'm pushing it. But this happens. You play that quarterback chicken, and you hope. Now, again, I still think there are other good quarterbacks on the board, but that's a situation where I should have just taken him at 9-3.
Yeah, and there's no harm in it either. That's the problem. Is like if you take them a round early or a round late when you're talking about 9, 10, 11, who cares, right? Nobody cares, but you at least get the guy that you were looking at. Who was your backup in that?
Well, I
in that
wound up
case.
waiting even longer. So my two quarterbacks were around 13 and 14, and I went
Mhm.
with Dak Prescott and JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, see, not bad options, but not Justin Fields.
No, I know. Look,
Not bad options.
the thing with Dak Prescott is 2 of the last 3 healthy seasons, he's had 36 and 37 passing touchdowns. Now, he's not going to run like the begin his career. I think he had 6 rushing touchdowns in his first 3 seasons. That's not going to happen anymore. He's coming off the hamstring injury. They've had a couple of injuries on the offensive line that we have to keep an eye on too in the preseason, but they don't have a strong backfield and they're going to pass a lot, right?
Mhm.
They're going to be in high scoring games. The defense is not what it was. So he could have 600 pass attempts. We've seen 590 at least in 2 of the last 3 years. Pickens, we mentioned, we both love. Great addition to the offense. Lamb, Ferguson. So they're going to be in a position where they pass a lot. And then McCarthy has that ceiling, right? Every quarterback, almost everyone that we've seen in this offense under O'Connell, Sam Darnold was a QB1 last year. Sam Darnold, who everyone hated. You got Jefferson there, Hawkinson, Addison. You bring in Jordan Mason to split the backfield with Aaron Jones. So, and then McCarthy can run a little bit too. So I'm fine. With those two. But yeah, looking back on it, I just waited too long on the field. I just said, all right, everyone else is waiting. I'm going to wait too. And if you're in a situation like that, there has to be a point where you go, all right, now it's round 9, forget it. And I've done this in the past. Like I play in the FFWC where quarterbacks go way late there. And 2 years ago, it was late 5th round. And I was like, I'm not passing Jalen Hurts here. I understand everyone waits, but I'm taking Hurts. And I was top 10 in their overall online championship. So I'm willing to do it. And I've always said you have to read the draft board. But in this one, I played chicken a little too much. I probably should have went field 9-3. I still think this is a really good team. But taking a running back there that's on my bench too. Remember, I already had my starting lineup. I had
Yep.
two running backs at that point and 6 receivers with those 3 flex spots. So I had my starting lineup. I should have went Fields there. That's probably the critique you would say as well, right?
Yeah, but it's the same critique I had for myself, right? Like that's the funny part is you know what to do, but then in the moment you're just can I push it just a little bit more? Can I get just a little bit more juice out of this squeeze, right? And so similar thing happened to me in the draft diary. Like I was saying, I waited, and then I missed out on the guys that I wanted, and I ended up getting grabbing uh, uh gosh Michael Penix. I ended up getting Michael Penix and Anthony Richardson. I got Anthony Richardson in like the second to last round. And then in the last round, I took a third quarterback just because I was like, you never know, right? And so you have to be careful because it's not that you don't end up with a quarterback that you think can be good, but it's something to be said about ending up with your quarterback, like the guy that you really wanted to be at the top of your fantasy, of your fantasy roster. So you gotta be willing to take them early if needed, if you really want them. Now, if you're just saying, hey, I don't really care, I'm gonna let the board dictate what I do, then that's a different story. But if you want to keep it in your own hands, you'd be better off taking them a round early than waiting.
Yeah, I will say this about quarterback this year. I think it really depends on your preference. You're seeing basically the same top 5 quarterbacks go off the board, then usually Mahomes. Then it really varies. So if you like a quarterback, you're going to have to take him. You can't go, well, Justin Fields' ADP here is 10. I've seen him go 7th. Same thing with the Baker Mayfield. Sometimes he goes a little later. Like in this draft, look at this. You wouldn't expect this to happen. Jordan Love went before Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Brock Purdy. You don't typically see that. So to me this year, the quarterback rankings, depending on who you're following or who's in the draft room, they vary a lot. You might just have to go get your guy. We saw it in the Superflex draft. JJ McCarthy was drafted first pick around 4 ahead of a lot of quarterbacks and I talked to Derek Brown from Fantasy Pros about that. He's like, that's my guy. I'm picking on the end, and he believes in him. And you're going to have to do that sometimes this year. You can't go, oh, well, look at the ADP. This guy's going later. especially with these quarterbacks, because I really think from like 7 to 18, it's really close, and it really comes down to personal preference. So this is just a lesson. You like Justin Fields, there's going to be other people in the room who like him too. So just take him. If that's
Just
your
take
guy
him.
and you
Yeah.
believe in him, yeah. And that's why it's good to do these, because I always say, you could say what you want. You could put out your rankings. When you're on the clock, what do? That's money time, right? Money's on the line. Something's on the line. Even if it's for me, no, because some people will say, oh, if it's not for money, you're just experimenting. I don't. My name's on it. I care what I do. Like this flex
Yes.
league is not for money. We get a belt. So, but my name's on it. And people who follow my work are going to look and see what I do. I'm not experimenting here. This is the team that if the money was on the line, I would play with too. Some people might experiment. I don't. My name's on the line. It means a lot to me. I don't want to be embarrassed. I want to win. I hate losing. I despise it. So it's an example, though, this year with the quarterbacks. Don't worry about the ADPs. And we saw it in both these drafts. Some people just said, hey, this is my guy. I believe they're top 12. I'm taking them. So just keep that in mind when you're drafting this year, because I really do think the rankings for these quarterbacks from like 7 to 18, they really vary. You might see J.J. McCarthy 10 in one ranking, 18 in another. Same with Fields. There are people that don't like Fields, right? They don't pay attention to fantasy. I mean, he runs a lot, but they just say, oh, Fields stinks. He takes too many sacks. Okay, they might have him lower. So just keep that in mind. Get your guys, and this is just a good example of that. When we return, we're going to take a look at some of Gene Clemons' must-draft players. He has an article up on FantasyLife.com, so we'll go over one or two. That is ahead. You're listening to Fantasy Life here on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. It is Fantasy Life here on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. Adam Ronis and Gene Clemons. Make sure you check us out, FantasyLife.com. Going to talk about an article right now, and if you want a discount on any package, SXM20 is the promo code. Get 20% off. Gene Clemons, he's been putting up a lot of content lately, as have I, but one of his articles is 4 must-have players for fantasy football in 2025, and one of them is Saquon Barkley, and a lot of people have trepidation about Barkley. Like I said, I've seen some of these high-stakes leagues. He goes 7th, 8th overall, clearly coming off an insane season for Philadelphia where he was one of the best values. He was going late first, early second last year. But people always bring up the amount of touches, including the postseason. And if you look at the history of running backs, they come back the next year and they aren't as good. Why are you not worried about Saquon Barkley?
I think again, this is the time where I go, hey, I understand what the numbers say, but then this is where the qualitative comes in. And I think this is the beauty of what we do over here at Fantasy Life. We have these checks and balances in place, right? Because the numbers do say, yeah, there's a lot of carries. But what type of carries were they? Like, how intense were those carries? This wasn't Saquon Barkley running into a brick wall every carry and getting, hit by 3, 4, 5 people as he's taken down. This is most of his tackles this past season were 1-man, 2-man tackles. Like they were in open field or through the through the hole, where he's getting tackled by one guy, brought down, roll over, pop up, let's go back to work, right? I think that makes a big difference in the type of carry you're talking about. This isn't Larry Johnson with Kansas City where he was just running through a brick wall every single play, and now the next year his body is still trying to recover from what he did the year before. These are light. And so I look at it, and I look at the fact that it could have been way more if he was really trying to like break a record or go for something even more special than what 2024 was. I think he'll be motivated by that this year. He has his money. He has a Super Bowl. He has the respect of the league as being the man at running back now. The only thing left for him to do now is start creating legacy. And you don't create legacy by going from 2,000 yards back to 1,200 yards. You create legacy by going for 2,000 yards and then running it back with another 2,000-yard season, which I expect Saquon Barkley to do again this year. Remember, he has the trump card that a lot of running backs don't have, in the fact that he has a quarterback who's such an effective runner that it makes the defense play 11 on 11 football. And when you're talking about the ability to read, it's really 10 on 11 on 10 because one person's not being accounted for in the blocking scheme. That person's being accounted for with the eyes of the quarterback. So he's getting much less pressure with all of those tackles as maybe some of these other running backs are who have to run. Like what we're seeing in Green Bay with Josh Jacobs, those are hard carries, right? Like those are I really got to get it out the mud carries. When he was with Las Vegas, those were I got to get it out the mud carries. Saquon Barkley's carries are not like that. Derrick Henry's carries are not like that. So everyone who's been devaluing Barkley and devaluing Henry, they're doing so based off of things off of storylines that are not the same as every other running back we've seen.
Yeah, Barkley's rushing yard prop, depending on where you go, I see it 1,400.5 on FanDuel, 1,500.5 on BetMGM, 1,425 on DraftKings. So that's why you shop around. If you want to see the rest of the must-draft players for Gene Clemons, head over to fantasylife.com. Again, promo code SXM20 gets you 20% off. We'll come back. We'll wrap it up. Who's going to start for the Colts at quarterback this year? We'll talk about it next. Fantasy Life here on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. Fantasy Life here on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. Adam Ronis and Gene Clemons wrapping up. A few minutes to go. And all offseason, we were wondering who's going to be the starting quarterback for the Colts. We still don't know, but the odds are starting to shift. It looked like Daniel Jones, if you were looking at the sports book, was the favorite. But the latest I'm seeing now is Anthony Richardson now minus 130 to start. Daniel Jones plus 102. Look, to me, if you're the Colts, you start Anthony Richardson. Like, I felt like they kind of botched it. You got to see what this guy can do. You took him early, and he didn't have a lot of time in college. He had the injuries his first year in the NFL, only playing 4 games. But what do you think the Colts do, and what should they do?
They should play Anthony Richardson, and moreover, they should play him and let him know, hey, listen, this is your job, and it's your job, and there's nobody coming in for you. We're rocking with you, and they should just let him go. Like, see what he can do. If he can stay, you got to have a Daniel Jones there because he hasn't been able to stay healthy. That's one thing. Cool. But as far as like taking him out and benching him because of bad play or whatever it might be, you got to let him grow. You've already invested the draft capital in him. The money is spent. Right? The money's spent already. So you might as well see what you have in him instead of doing this whole where we're just going to go back and forth and competition. Either you should have set him from the beginning and not let him start and let him learn as the backup, or now that he's been out here, let him rock as the starter and then keep it moving. If he can't get it done, then he can't get it done.
Yeah, we're starting to see Richardson too go later in these drafts, like in the final rounds. Now, obviously in a super flex league, he's going to be drafted, but in my league, in the flex league draft over the weekend, where you start one quarterback, he went in round 15, and it's the complete opposite of last year where Richardson was going sometimes as the 7th quarterback off the board. I think you would agree. You would take him in the last round or two as your backup quarterback, right?
Yeah, I took him in the second to last round. So yeah, for sure. He's definitely still has value, especially if he's on the field.
Yeah, last year we saw 499 rushing yards, 6 rushing touchdowns in 11 games. We talk about these running quarterbacks all the time, the high flow they present. So in the last round or two, chance he could start? Sure. That wraps it up here. I'll be back with Kendall Valenzuela tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. Stay tuned. RotoWire Fantasy Sports Today with Jeff Erickson and Nick Whalen. They're up next. I'll be back tomorrow right here on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio.